She promised them $100,000 for their dream renovation. She brought in a financial advisor to prove she had the money. She convinced them to expand their plans, sign the contracts, go into debt. And then she vanished on 7 luxury cruises with her new boyfriend, leaving her own daughter's family drowning in debt and staring down bankruptcy. This is how family betrayal destroys lives from the inside out. Sarah and Mark had lived in their home for 8 years. They were careful with money, savers, planners, the kind of people who knew exactly what they could afford. After nearly a decade of watching their modest house age around them, they finally decided it was time for a renovation. Nothing extravagant, just the essentials they had budgeted for over years of disciplined saving. Mark's mother, let's call her Diane, had always been controlling. Even though they lived hours away now, she still found ways to insert herself into their lives. When she heard about the renovation plans, she started making suggestions, expensive ones. Granite countertops instead of laminate, custom cabinets instead of stock, a complete overhaul instead of a simple refresh. Mark ignored her. He had learned not to trust his mother's words. She had a pattern: big promises, grand gestures, and then nothing. Diane was inconsistent. She would commit to things and then disappear when it mattered. He had seen this show before, but Diane kept pushing. She told them not to worry about the cost. She wanted to help them. She wanted them to have the home of their dreams while she was still alive to see it. She said it over and over until the words started to sound real. Mark stayed skeptical. Sarah, however, started to listen. Sarah came to Mark one evening with a different tone in her voice. She was normally as cautious with money as he was, but now she was talking about expanding the renovation, going bigger. She said she had spoken with Diane, and not just Diane, with their financial advisor too. This was the moment everything changed. Diane had involved her financial advisor in the conversation. The same advisor Mark knew through his professional network. Someone credible, someone with a reputation. The advisor confirmed that Diane had the financial capability to fund the entire renovation. She was planning to distribute some of her assets while she was still alive, so her family could enjoy them now instead of waiting for an inheritance. The triangulation was perfect. Mark trusted the advisor. Sarah trusted her mother. The skeptical husband who had spent years ignoring his mother's empty promises suddenly had proof. Official proof. Professional confirmation. They expanded their plans. They signed contracts with builders. They committed to a renovation 3 times larger than their original budget. They went into debt because Diane's money was coming. The financial advisor had confirmed it. There was no reason to doubt it anymore. Mark's instincts screamed at him. But how do you argue with a financial professional? How do you tell your wife that her mother is lying when there's documentation? He ignored the screaming. The renovation began. Walls came down. Contractors moved in. The bills started arriving. Sarah and Mark paid what they could and took on debt for the rest. Diane's money would cover it. That was the plan. Then Diane sold her house. Sarah and Mark saw this as confirmation she was liquidating assets to keep her promise. She was preparing to distribute the funds just like she said. Everything was falling into place exactly as the financial advisor had outlined. But Diane had met someone new, a boyfriend with his own house. A boyfriend who was about to provide her with something she valued more than keeping her word, a rent-free place to live and a companion to travel the world with. She never intended to give them a single dollar. Diane backed out. No warning, no apology, no explanation that made sense. She simply informed them that the money was not coming. The promise she had made, the promise she had reinforced through a financial advisor, the promise that had convinced them to triple their renovation budget, was dead. The truth came out in pieces. She had not sold her house to help them. She sold it to fund 7 luxury cruises with her new boyfriend. 7. While her daughter and son-in-law drowned in debt they had only taken on because of her guarantee, Diane was booking ocean view cabins and excursion packages. She moved in with the boyfriend. No rent, no mortgage. Free housing while her daughter faced bankruptcy. Sarah and Mark were financially destroyed. The bills kept coming. The renovation was half finished. The debt was real, but the promised money had been a lie from the beginning. Future faking, a manipulation tactic where someone makes elaborate promises about future support to control your present decisions, with zero intention of following through. Diane remained ignorant to how bad their situation had become, or maybe she just didn't care. Either way, she showed no remorse, no accountability. She was too busy planning cruise number 8. Sarah and Mark had to file for bankruptcy. Years of careful saving, years of building good credit, gone. Because they trusted a mother's promise, because a financial advisor confirmed she had the means, because the manipulation was so sophisticated that even the cautious ones fell for it. Mark looked back and saw the pattern clearly now. Diane had done this before. She had influenced other major decisions in their lives with promises she never kept. He realized something devastating. Had she been truthful, they would never have made half the choices they did. Her lies had shaped their entire financial trajectory. The cost of living increases were already squeezing them, but they could have survived that. Diane's betrayal pushed them from struggling to destroyed, from tight budgets to bankruptcy. She faced no consequences. She is still on those cruises, still living rent-free, still choosing her own comfort over the financial ruin she caused her own daughter. This is financial abuse disguised as generosity, and it follows a specific playbook. First, future faking. Manipulators make grand promises about what they will do for you later to control what you do now. They need you to commit, to sign contracts, to burn bridges, to make irreversible choices, and once you do, the promise evaporates. Second, triangulation. When the victim is skeptical, the manipulator brings in a third party to validate the lie. In this case, a financial advisor, someone credible, someone the victim trusts. It removes doubt, it silences instincts, it makes the trap invisible. Third, gaslighting through ignorance. After the damage is done, the manipulator pretends not to understand the severity of what they caused. They remain oblivious. They avoid accountability. They prioritize their own desires while you collapse under the weight of their lies. Here is what you need to watch for in your own life: a history of broken promises or inconsistent follow-through. Pressure to make major commitments based on someone's future promises. Third parties brought in to validate claims and silence your doubts. And zero accountability when their actions destroy you. Never make irreversible financial decisions based on promised future support from someone with control issues, even if they bring proof, even if they involve professionals. Get legally binding commitments or stick to your original budget. Trust patterns, not promises. If you recognized any of these tactics in your own life, you are not alone. And now you know what you are looking at. Subscribe to see the manipulation patterns most people never notice until it is too late.